Great day, everyone. This is your host, Paul Lawrence Van, host of Wealth Academy Podcast. And I'm glad that you're with us today because on episode 261, we have an honored guest, a guest expert by the name of Joy Green. Joy, good day. How are you doing today?
Hey, Paul. Hello, world. I'm so excited to be here and I'm great. How are you today?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. And we're going to have a great time. But before we get started, I'm going to read her bio so that you can learn more about her. But understand this, she's multi-talented. And so what I'm going to share with you right now is just a small amount, but there's more. So Joy Green is a transformational speaker and mentor, empowering those suffering from low self-esteem, trauma, and self-destructive behavior. Joy is a best-selling author and meditation instructor who shifts the atmosphere for her clients. And we are going to get started now. And we're honored to have you here. And what I like to do with my listeners and with people who listen on the archive is get a little bit more about your background, the foundation. So what I want to know, Joy, is that you were, of course, born in Vallejo, California, and it represents your beginning, your genesis. How many siblings did you have, and what were some of the principles that you grew up with? We would love to learn more about you.
Yes. So I do have to share this fun fact, Paul. I was
Yes.
born overseas in Korea.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah. So although I'm not
Fantastic.
Korean, it was through
Sure.
military.
Right.
But I was raised in Vallejo. So that is my hometown.
Okay,
And
fantastic.
I was raised in a household of 7 people.
Uh-huh.
I'm the oldest of 5 girls.
Uh-huh.
And, we were raised in I would say, traditional household, mom, dad, although he was my stepfather and my
Yeah.
siblings were born after, of course, me, the oldest.
Okay.
So I would say growing up, for the most part, things were good because my parents made an effort to do their best around bringing us up around spirituality and church and
Uh-huh.
activities. And I remember going to Disneyland, right? A road
Yeah.
trip.
Uh-huh.
So my growing up, I have great memories.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
And so you
And
don't have
then
any brothers?
I have one
No
brother. My
brothers?
brother
Okay.
actually, he is, so it's interesting, right? Like the
Sure.
dynamics of family.
Uh-huh.
My father, he met a woman in Korea. They got
Uh-huh.
married after I was born. And then I
Okay.
had 2 siblings from that
Okay.
relationship. So
Fantastic.
overall, yeah, I got overall, six
Oh,
siblings.
6 overall. Fantastic. Because if you didn't have any brothers, I have 4 of them. I could have given you one.
We can share all the way around.
Exactly, exactly. Well, that's wonderful. And I think your upbringing is just so fantastic. And we always get to that place in time that we have these fundamental, the principles in which our parents, they share with us. And it's great to see that you had a really wonderful upbringing. Of course, you have the sisters, and I have 5 myself, so I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. So, when it comes to looking at what we consider to be the defining moment in your life, in other words, what and or who inspired you to do what you do today? Who had that played a pivotal role in you doing what you do today as Joy Green, the multi-talented individual here?
That's actually a question I'm going to try to answer as quickly as possible because it
Sure.
wasn't a one situation.
Gotcha.
Although I had great memories in my childhood, I have to be honest, and this is going retrospectively into
Sure.
my life and through healing.
Yeah.
I suffered child abuse from my stepfather.
Okay.
So,
Understand.
unfortunately, and he was raised, unfortunately, in the South and
Sure.
experienced, abuse. Like now we would call that child abuse. Then that was kind of the way in Black
That
communities,
was the norm.
child rearing,
Yes.
not
Yes.
okay. And
Absolutely.
so I suffered some of that.
Sure. I understand.
Yeah. So I would say that it wasn't really a decision based on, like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Hmm.
I actually went through an identity crisis.
I understand. And that's that trauma that we talk about. that many of us have experienced, because I experienced that too.
A
Yeah,
lot of us have, and we don't
yeah.
realize it until we have to heal through it.
Exactly, exactly. So I definitely understand, and I'm glad that you made that transition, and it's an ongoing thing as well. It's not something that, well, that just happened. No, it's still there. Just like with me, and we have to work through it and do our best to work through it. And fortunately, we have the information today that can help us.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Absolutely. So it's so important for us all to overcome the quicksands of life, of which part you just shared. And there's a part of you, a purpose for others. Please expound on what you do to help your audience to continue moving forward when they get knocked down. And we all get knocked downs or have hurdles in life that we try to overcome, and what we call the quicksands of life. How do you help your audience with that through your gifts?
Yeah, so I like that term, the quicksand, right? Because it doesn't mean that you have to stay in it, but it's kind of difficult to get out, and you definitely want to.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm going to actually take a couple items from the best-selling book that
Yes,
we're kind of talking about here, which is Stuck is Not Your Story. I
yes.
overcame and I'm victorious.
Absolutely. Let me show that
So,
book a little bit more for people as well, real quick.
oh, I love the slide. Thank you, Paul. You're awesome.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. We also want people to look at go to your website also and learn even more about it, and purchase a couple of cases while you're at it.
Exactly. Take them to your local community libraries, churches. There's information here that is not based on religion, spirituality. It's about experiences and healing.
Yes, that's wonderful, because that's reality.
That's
Yeah,
truth, right? We all go through very similar circumstances in life, and we don't realize it until, a lot of times we're forced into a situation in communities where we have to work through it. And then in order to do that, we have to work with other people in similar circumstances. Once we
absolutely.
understand ourselves, we can understand others.
Definitely so. And when we see other people, let's say if we're watching TV or a movie, or we even hear a song, there are things in there we're like, oh my goodness, I've been through that. So it's more of a common or normal thing, which of course we're trying to, of course, reverse that process, that lifestyle. So that's
Yeah.
really good. Now, of course, you're the best-selling author of the book series, which is "Stuck Is Not Your Story," which you shared before. Please share. Do you want to share other titles that you have as a part of that as well?
Well, before I get to the other titles, you did
Okay.
ask me about a couple tips. And I
Yes.
feel like this conversation is important about how we overcome, right? It's not just on the other
Absolutely.
side, everything looks great. You
Sure.
hit the nail on the head, Paul. You said it's there always. Whatever
Yes.
trauma, experience, difficulty, it's about making certain decisions and then making certain choices that I'm not going to do these things because I know where it can lead. So
Correct.
I just wanted to mention a couple things that I talk about in this book are one, finding your why,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yes.
once you get to know yourself,
Hmm.
then you get a chance to say, well, why am I here? Why do I want to be here? What do I want
Sure.
to represent through this physical embodiment of, the most high, right? We get to physically
Yeah.
be here and be our best and put forward our own genius.
Yes. That's really
And then,
wonderful.
yeah, and finding your why. Remember, once you find your why, you
Hmm.
have to constantly work towards things that your why entails: affirmations,
Yes.
meditation,
Yes.
also your network, your community, right? Because those
Absolutely.
folks that may be doing those things that you used to do or that
Hmm.
you don't want to see yourself doing and you notice it, right? Because we grow when we notice things. You
That's
have
correct.
to find put effort into finding community. That's really
Yeah.
important. So that way you surround yourself with people that are doing things that you want to see yourself doing, and then you can contribute to others wanting
Yeah.
to do the same in life.
Absolutely. And that's strengthens. It's just like I was telling someone last week. It's that when we as individual and our couples, when we heal, our community heals at the same time. People don't really
Yes,
look at it that way, but that's really what's happening. Your community gets stronger when each one of us gets stronger. They
absolutely.
go
And
they
that's
go
what we
hand in
want.
hand. Yes. It goes hand in hand, and we want strong communities because those communities are they are safer. Uh, we get more resources that come in because people better understand, and also that next generation, which is important, which we always keep an eye on that, bringing up the children the right way, bringing up the nieces and nephews as best we can. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes a tremendous difference. So but writing this book, let's talk about that just a little bit. What really moved you into that space of writing, for example, your first book?
I love that question because I'm a natural writer. I am a singer. I'm a creative.
Uh-huh.
So that was always in me, writing poetry and
Yeah.
songs and being in glee and choir all throughout my
Mhm.
childhood and young adulthood.
Wonderful.
So the opportunity was presented to me through a community that I am still a part of as I've transitioned into the joy I am now.
Yes.
And a publisher gave me the opportunity to be a part of Your Voice Matters. That was the
Okay.
very first book that I was published in, an anthology. And it was
Yes.
actually published during the riots of 2020.
Okay.
And it had
Understand.
to do with perspective of different people. And really, like at that time, we all needed a voice, right? Your voice
Good.
matters. Different groups of people, not just in our community as Black and Brown people,
Right.
but also as a community, the planet, right? We all
Right.
needed to be
Yeah.
able to
All of
share our voice. Or
for
locked
humanity.
up in different, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was given the opportunity, and I want to say given because I could have said no. I could
Uh-huh.
have shrunk. I
Sure.
could have, drug my feet. But
Uh-huh.
I was like, I always wanted to be an author, and I'm being given the opportunity. I jumped
Yeah.
on it, and I took the leap of faith that's
Mhm.
now 5 books later.
Yes. Now that's progress right there. But it's like I was explaining to people earlier that you're so gifted and multi-talented. And oftentimes when people look at us, they're thinking they kind of put it in a box. But there's so much more to you. And there's so much when there's so much more to you, there's more that you give to the community itself.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of experiencing life, not just staying bound to the things that we went through, but
Sure.
knowing that you can look back and say, okay, I grew through that. And now I can
Yeah.
share lessons with others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when we look back at that, we also understand that, oh, so that's part of my purpose. That's part of my why.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's amazing. So at this point, would you like to talk about some of the other books in your series? I think I have a couple of them listed here. I have seven. What is it? 7 steps to transform from victim to warrior.
That's
Uh,
it. That's one of them.
Your voice matters.
Yes.
uh, Journey to Joyfulness, and I believe that's in an ebook.
That's an ebook. Yes.
And people can get that off of your site as well.
They can get that on even Amazon. So I
Okay.
self-published that book. I took
Yes.
that journey as a self-published author, and
Okay.
I can share that journey with others out there. We all have a story to tell. You can go to Amazon and type in Journey to Joyfulness, and boom, a 15-minute top seller on Amazon. Like you
All
have
right.
15 minutes to find extra joy in your life and live joyfully.
For sure. If we don't have 15 minutes, then we're in trouble.
Man, that's another podcast.
Yes, yes. That's wonderful. And thank you so much for sharing that. So let's get down to some of the other talents that you have. I know you're a meditation instructor, meditation teacher. And let's talk about that in terms of how you transform people, not only in mind, body, but in spirit. And how does this help people that practice it? Because we've all heard of meditation, but a lot of people really don't practice it. And there's a big difference between the two.
Absolutely. And I'll give you a quick rundown because
Okay.
meditation was another thing that it happened because of it happened out of necessity. Excuse
Necessity.
me, couldn't get that out.
Gotcha. No problem.
And a lot of things that we find that work for us, tools in life, happen from necessity.
Yes.
And from necessity for my own mental health, because
Mhm.
I don't receive this as who I am now, but at one point in life I was diagnosed with severe depression, clinical depression.
Sure. I understand. We've been through a
Attempted
lot.
to take myself away.
Yes. I understand.
And meditation was necessary for me to figure out, okay, I need other things. This is me. I am not huge on prescription medication because I'm very
Sure.
sensitive. I know my
Sure.
body, and it does affect me in other ways. And
Sure.
so meditation was a way
Mhm.
for me not only to feel better, but to connect back with myself. Remember,
Yeah.
I told you I was going through an
Mhm.
identity crisis.
Sure.
Means I don't know myself. I don't love
Yeah.
myself,
Uh-huh.
and so
That's
therefore
one of the key
meditation.
words. That's the key word. That self-love is very important. Yeah. A lot of
That's
people,
huge.
they look at the word love and they think romance, relationship, but it goes deeper than that, much deeper than that. That's that self-love. Because I try to explain this to my two children. I said, well, it's tough to love someone else if you don't love yourself. You've got to start
That
at
part.
home. Yes. That's so
It's so
key.
true.
And so when
And
you're,
so,
yes,
oh, I was just going to say, being a meditation instructor, another leap of faith, right?
sure,
I decided becoming not really to teach the masses, but that's what it is now. But I
sure.
was like, okay, this feels good. I want to be able to help others. And, at that time, small ways. And this was almost 4 years ago that I was certified as a primordial sound meditation instructor. So
Oh,
that's
wonderful.
through Chopra's foundation,
Uh-huh.
Deepak
Uh-huh.
Chopra.
Yes, I
And
follow
through
him.
that experience,
Uh-huh.
that's where I really, really was able to make it a practice, not just something that was for me, but a practice watching myself grow
Yes.
and change and
Uh-huh.
become a different version of myself, transformation, and then be able to take that and then apply it to actual human nature.
Yes. Yes. Making it real.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what I do now. I work with people individually because guess what? There's over 1,000 ways to meditate.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that means it's not one shoe fits or one size fits all, right? It means that
Sure.
it's not sit in a corner and be quiet for 20 minutes for everyone.
Sure.
So I work with people individually where you're at, because
Uh-huh.
where you're at is where you feel comfortable. So therefore, you need to be supported there until you're ready to grow your wings, right?
Yeah.
And then move into
Yeah.
that next space. And so meditation is a part of that journey that helps you to grow and notice your growth and not just feel like struggle, 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 but there's a little relaxation and breath there.
People just don't understand the importance of mental health. And I know, let's say 10 years ago, or when I worked at the Pentagon, I was there for 12 straight years. People did not talk about mental health issues. They didn't talk about really meditation. But now, fast forward, for every 2 or 3 blocks that I drive, if I'm heading to the Pentagon now, I see a yoga studio or yoga center. And so it's really taken on. And we know that a lot of children have it in school now. Employers have it now because they're beginning
Yeah.
to find out this thing is real. We had the financial crisis in '08, '09. We had the COVID, the pandemic. We have school shootings. I mean, there's so many things, and people really are tired. They're really tired.
People are choosing to not be here because
Yeah,
it's too much and they're
absolutely.
overwhelmed. And I
Yes.
speak to that because it's real. And we need to sometimes have those conversations just enough to know people, just to let people know they're not alone.
Correct.
That's a real
Yeah.
feeling. And
Yes.
that's a valid feeling sometimes.
Hmm.
Right. And so what do? We can actually get out of that. And meditation, I know it's very cliche, but
Sure.
working with somebody that has been there and then
Yes.
is on the other side of the stuckness, the heaviness, the
Yeah.
overwhelming, the I can't move
Right.
forward, it hurts,
The-
physically hurts, the heartbreak physically hurts.
yes.
Working with somebody that knows that and then
Mhm.
understands, like, okay, there's different ways that we're got to get through this. It's not for you, it works for you, and then it works for you. Working with somebody opens you up because doing it alone, we can't do anything
A-
alone that's that
Absolutely.
difficult in life.
Absolutely. And that's one of the major problems with the military now, that the suicide rate is very, very high. Some of the seamen on the Navy ships killing each other. They had a series where, I don't know, in a month period of time, 6 or 7 people. Or we had a person who was against one of the wars. So they went up to an embassy and he actually took his life on TV. And I was like, oh my God. And these things are happening. So that meditation and the mental health aspect is truly needed. So perhaps that's one of the target markets you can look at as well, the military, because I know they need it and they're budgeted for it as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because my family, I told you I was born in Korea, veteran.
Mhm.
My grandfather's a veteran. My father-in-law is a veteran. So
Uh-huh.
thank you for mentioning that because I receive messages, right? It's not
Sure.
just I'm here, I'm doing this, but having these conversations, I meditate and I also
Yeah,
ask, where can I be of service now, today? Because I'm not
exactly.
promised tomorrow. I'm not
That's true.
promised next week. So today, where can I be of service? You just told me where. So
Yeah,
now it's up to me to go out and
sure.
place myself in those positions. And guess what? People are going to be ready for me because you
Uh,
already told me they need you.
Exactly. Yep, they need you. There's no doubt, and it's real. So, so
Yeah.
absolutely. So thank you for that. And again, the gifts that you have, you'd be able to serve the people, which is wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about a few words that you've heard, and it reads as follows: "The joy I found." And you have a community that goes with that. Let's talk about that. What's the evolution of this?
I love that. It made me giggle because I have to just share this really quick bit. And it's interesting,
Sure.
right? We do things and sometimes we do them and we don't know what's going to happen. And then years later, it's like a thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm a trained model. That was a part of my
Uh-huh.
life. I was a
Okay.
runway model.
Okay.
I was a host, right? I was
Sure.
in entertainment as far as like on camera and
Right.
hosting events. And
Uh-huh.
so I was trained to be a host through a community here in Los Angeles that does
Sure.
host training.
Uh-huh.
And during that training, we had the task to
Yeah.
come up with a brand,
Mhm.
right? That would represented who we were, and it was
Sure.
probably a 6 week course, and
Uh-huh.
that's where the joy I found
Uh-huh.
came from because I was in another transition in my life.
Uh-huh.
Because the transition is not one time, folks; it's
Oh,
throughout
yeah.
your life. But
It's
I
ongoing.
digress. And
Yes.
like this was almost 7 years ago now,
Uh-huh.
and here we are. It's a community of not just I found joy, but it's a
Yeah.
double entendre. We all
Sure.
have to find the joy within,
Correct. Absolutely.
and that's
Yes.
a journey.
It is. Yes. And you have to take the first step.
Yeah, and more
The
steps,
more
but
step.
that's what community is about. Community, safe community, people
Yeah.
you trust.
Uh-huh.
That's important. And when you find those folks, your skin crawls and your heart flutters and you know it's right.
You know, it's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. And of course, one of the things that you do that I shared earlier is that you're a very transformative, transformational speaker. And you want to speak on that as well when we look at your target market. We're going to try to, over the next couple of days or weeks, I'm going to work with you a bit more in terms of trying to find out some markets for you because there is much needed. In
It
fact,
is.
I was looking at some employment numbers and they were saying, they have this full employment drive going, but they don't have enough employees. So some people are still on the sidelines and they're going through the depression. I had a cousin one time that where she would cut her wrist, and she was a teenager then. And so I've seen it up close and personal. And I just at that time I was young, I couldn't figure out, well, why would you do that? Because my mind was just, I'm not going to do that, right? But it's real, and we know that people definitely need help. So I'll definitely be working with you more and trying to see how I can help you out with that as well.
I appreciate you,
Sure.
Paul.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. We're glad to have you. And of course, we come from a very wonderful community with authors, which is really wonderful. So there's so many talented people that you got to interview.
Yes,
No
that's the
doubt.
beauty. I have
Yeah,
to make that comment again of
yeah,
finding the safe, right communities. Because look at this. This
yeah,
conversation came from a community that Paul and I are a part of, a safe
yeah,
community that speaks to our why and our passions. And look, this is so fun. This is amazing. And I know
yeah.
more, not just opportunities, but
Sure.
service, healing, love is going to come from this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, how can people get in touch with you? Because I know that you have a TikTok. You have an account there, and if you could share that, and also let's talk about the summer school program that you're in. That I joined that myself just
Yeah.
yesterday, a couple of days ago. So let's share something about that so people can anticipate that the fact that they'll be seeing a lot more of you from a publicity and a promotional standpoint.
Yes. So checking off those few boxes, the first thing I think is the most important is sharing about our amazing publisher that has
Yeah,
invited us through her community to
yeah,
do a summer summit. So it's a
yeah,
summer session summit, which basically means that as authors, we come together, we
yeah.
work on the things that we need,
Yes,
right? The
our goal.
funnels, the
Uh-huh.
emails, all of the things that we need a CEO author, excuse me, to
Yeah,
then put a week-long summit together over 200,000 people. I think it's a day, right?
exactly. That's right.
A
And,
day that
and
we
then
get
we're
to
gonna
share a
try.
presentation about what we do as authors or how we share what we share.
Mhm.
And that is us working together through. A lot of us are still, on the fence
Sure.
about some of those digital things that we need in our business, but we're going to
Absolutely.
do it together. So,
Yes, yes.
yes.
Yeah, so we're going to try to 10x, 100x the community in which we're working with, going from that 200,000 and building even beyond that, 2 to 3 times above that. So that's going to be a really good program. It's actually underway now, and in August is really going to be like a launch, if you will.
Yes.
So so we're coming to the end of our interview. It's so much fun. We're gaining so much. See, I'm sitting here, and even though we've spoken before in the pre-interview, I'm learning more now, even more, which
Me
is great.
too.
Yeah. And so, if you could provide some words of inspiration, some words of wisdom to our listeners, those who are listening on the archive, and
Yeah.
really would appreciate that, Joy.
So I'm going to share my favorite quote from the book we've been talking about, Stuck is
Okay.
Not Your Story, I Overcame and Am Victorious. You can find that on my website right at the bottom. But
Absolutely.
this quote, it speaks to now and forever. You have the power to feel strong and choose joy, even in uncertain times.
Yes. Much needed. For, as they say, for a time like this.
Uncertain times.
In certain times. All right. And then
Uncertain
life
times.
had that.
That's the key word, now and forever. We don't know. We're always in uncertain times.
Yes, absolutely. It's an ongoing, like you said, it's that taking that first step, but the journey continues and on and on and on. And so that is wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. And one of the things that I want people to take from today's interview is the fact that, again, that you help people to overcome the trauma. You help them to come over with the, low self-esteem, which we know a lot of people have that. And too many people perhaps are in that space of fear, but there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. Just keep walking, keep going forward, as Joy has shared today.
You got
And
this.
I love this. I want to see this one more time. Stuck is not your story. Don't forget this. Joy Green. You see her website here, www.thejoyifound.com. And you can get this on her website. And you can also get her other book, her ebook, there on Amazon. So we'd like to point you there. And we also want to get the support from people on the archive. If you would go to Apple Podcasts and you'll be able to provide a rate and review Joy Green's interview today and give her a 5-star rating and put some positive comments in there as well for this particular episode, episode 261. Go there, do this because she's making a tremendous difference. And this won't be the last time that she'll be on this platform. And we're looking at doing even more because we're writing more books, right, Joy?
Yes, we are. I got one in my belly that's getting ready to birth right now.
See, absolutely. That's how we do it here. And over the course of the summer, you all will hear even more and more about it. So at this time, I want to thank everyone who are listening, active right now currently right now on different sites such as Facebook, also on LinkedIn, Instagram, in addition to X, or what's formerly called Twitter. And you're listening to this, make sure you reference this to your family, to your friends, and to your colleagues, because we all know that what Joy Green provides is going to make a tremendous difference in your life and the life of the community of which you are a part of. So I want to say thank you so much, Joy Green. It was an honor, and it's just made a wonderful day for us all. And I look forward to seeing you again and continue excellence in all that you do.
Thank you. What a great way to start the weekend. Appreciate you. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much. And I want to say again, everyone, with Wealth Academy Podcast, get out and rate and review this episode, episode 261. You can also go to www.wealthacademypodcast.com and you'll be able to listen to it there as well. So have a great day, everyone. Again, episode 261 with Joy Green. She's not only a best-selling author, but also a meditation instructor, in addition to being a transformational speaker. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next episode. Enjoy your weekend, Joy, and
Bye,
thank you so much.
everyone. You too, Paul. Take care.
Okay, will do.